In this video of my van build series, I'm going to talk about and show a little bit of my vented propane locker build. The purpose of this locker is so that I can keep my propane tank on the inside of the van and have it safely vent any possible leaks to the outside of the van without going into the cabin where I'll be living. Now, this wouldn't be very important if I use some of the underside, some of the mounting space that's on the undercarriage of the van. And that might be something I upgrade to later on, but for now, I'm planning on having everything as my build pretty much self-contained within the confines of the van itself. So I wanted to make sure I was venting any possible propane safely out of the van, and that's why I built this locker. So stick around and check it out. So before I show off the build of my vented propane locker, I wanted to show a little bit of why I'm building a propane locker and having propane in my van in the first place. So, two things. One is for warm showers, and the other is for some cooking and heating. But the warm showers being the primary driver. So what I'm going to have installed is this Camp Lux 5-liter tankless water heater. My plan is to have this installed towards the back of my van, where I'll be able to open the back doors, hang some shower curtains, and then take warm showers out the back of my van. Certainly I'll have to consider how long I shower for, given that I have a finite amount of water. But from some early estimates, and this being a portable water heater, I should be able to last a long time with the propane I'll have on board. In this first time lapse, watch as I cut all the pieces for the sides, base, and lid of the propane locker. Detailed dimensions and plans of the box will be available on my website at the link in the description later on in the build process. To cut straight and even pieces, I'm using a Kreg Rip-Cut circular saw guide. My circular saw attaches to the guide and makes it really easy for me to get straight, consistent cuts. After cutting all my pieces, I use a random orbital sander to smooth out the wood. I then use a Kreg jig to drill pocket holes, which are great for creating exceptionally strong butt joints. The last part of the video shows how I use some makeshift fixturing to assemble the locker with wood glue and the pocket holes that I created. What I don't show in the video is how I finish the box and ensure a good seal. I use GE Silicone 2 for all the seams to ensure a good seal, and then I also use KILZ Primer as a base coat for the wood and a Sherwin-Williams top coat of paint to give my box an attractive appearance. In this part of the video, you can watch me do the finishing touches on the vented locker. Here I'm primarily attaching the seal and clasps for the lid. I use an auto and marine rubber weather seal on the top edges of the walls to allow for an even airtight seal when the lid is compressed. I use draw catches distributed on 3 sides of the box to be able to apply pressure and locking to the lid so that I can be confident it will remain closed and airtight. So this is my vented propane locker. I have it built out of 1/2-inch birch plywood. I did apply some sealant and then a finishing paint, and this is going to match the paint scheme of my van, but that more on the paint scheme later. The goal, this should fit pretty much any standard 20-pound size tank, and that's pretty much, so you can see it, your standard grill tank. And then I have my lid. So I have a rubber seal applied to the top of the walls here, and then I have these clasps, and I have the clasps spread out so I can apply some tight pressure to the seal. So hopefully that when I seal that, no gas is going to be able to leak out the top. And I'm also relying on propane being heavier than air, so that's going to sink towards the bottom of this vented box as well. So those couple things are going to help me out. And then I've got this bulkhead fitting here. So what I'm going to do, and I don't have this set up yet because I'm waiting for the rest of my system to be built and for this to be installed in the van. But I'm going to go from the tank using this gas stop adapter, which from everything I've read does a really good job of auto shutting off when it detects a leak. I'm going to go from that to this bulkhead fitting on the inside of the tank. And when I have everything else hooked up, I'll be able to turn off the valves. So I'll be able to turn on and off my gas without necessarily opening the box. But I'll be able to then seal the lid, and then the rest of my system is going to be hooked up through the other side of this bulkhead fitting. And some of that's going to look like this, where I'll have some range of brass adapters and shut-off valves. The goal of which, again, being to divert to the different parts of my system, one of them being the hot water, the other being my stove, or my oven, excuse me. And if later on I decide I'm going to be able to want to add on more or add another line, I'll be able to do that pretty simply by removing some of the fittings, adding another T-fitting, and extending the system. So it's a pretty slick setup where the gas is going to be self-contained, and what I don't have done yet is the venting, but that's going to be a finishing step that I'll do once I finish the floor of the van and actually install this locker. But right now the box seals. It should be fully 100% sealed, or as close to 100% as I can get. So if there are leaks, again, those leaks aren't going to seep into the passenger area or the cabin of my van, and they'll vent out to the outside. And then I've got propane for until it runs out, for my hot water again, and my stove, oven combo, and anything else I need to use it for. And based on some of the estimates I'm seeing online, should be able to run without filling up for a few months, hopefully, depending on how often I shower, of course, how long my showers are, and how often I'm using the oven. But in terms of cooking and how often I use the oven, don't think I'll be using it too often. With my electrical setup, I'm also going to have an induction plate, so I'm not too worried about using up all the propane for cooking, but it'll be a really slick setup. I'll talk more about it when I've got the rest of the system built and put together. Thanks for sticking around and watching another video in my van build series. I know a vented propane locker probably isn't the most interesting thing in the world, but it's pretty cool, and it's probably going to save my life and my dog's life when we're on the road. I'm also going to have some propane sensors and things like that in different parts of the van, just to make sure that my vented locker is doing what it needs to, and that I'm safe when I'm on the road. But again, thank you for sticking around. Be sure to tune in for more. There's a lot more exciting videos coming soon to my channel. I've got a lot of good content put together, and it's just a matter of time of editing and putting everything up on the channel. So again, please be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what you think, and check out the description for all the info on the tools, materials, etc. that was used in the video. Thanks, and see you soon.